Even though the next page in the application is the income and expense summary, you should fill out your ending current inventory and ending non-current inventory before you try to fill out your income and expense summary. It will make it much easier. In fact, when you print out the application, in ending current inventory and ending non-current inventory will come out before the income and expense summary. So let's take a look at the directions in the American Degree Handbook for the ending current inventory. You're only going to enter the value of the items that you own on December 31st of the year prior to the year that you are applying, and that you intend to use up or sell or trade over the next 12 months in this section of the application. So current inventory are items that you planned to use up or get rid of within the next 12 months. If the item was sold or used up prior to December 31st, then you do not need to list it. Examples of items that go on your current inventory would be things like seed that you intend to plant, fuel that you plan to use up, animals that you have purchased intending to resell, plants, same thing, purchased and going to resell, equipment that you sell or trade before December 31st of the following year. Do not include items in this section that you intend to keep for longer than the next 12 months and that you can depreciate. Examples would include things like fish tanks, a greenhouse, computer hardware, or breeding stock. Only include items in this section that are directly related to the SAE projects included in the application. So you do not need to put all of your assets in here, just the ones related to your SAE project. For each of the following sections, you're going to fill in a description, the quantity, the amount you have, and your ending total value boxes. You can add as many lines as needed to each inventory section by simply completing one line and clicking Add. And we'll get into that demonstration a little bit later. The description, make sure you enter a clear description of the items. For example, ewe lambs, feeder steer, or purebred Labrador Retriever pups. Entering a description that only you understand, such as an animal's name, spot, or tag number 582 is a bad idea. Remember that the reviewers or judges do not know your project. You must clearly describe it to them. I also like to see included when you acquired or purchased the item, and that helps a little bit with the description. Quantity, this could be number of animals, it could be pounds, it could be gallons, liters, any other specific measurable amount of each item on hand. And you can write that in along with the number of how many you have. So if it's 1,000 bushels of corn, you can write 1,000 bushels. Ending total value is the total dollar value of the listed inventory items entered on the lines as of December 31st. The value should be no more than fair market value on that date. So when you're putting in the value of your current inventory, make sure using a fair market value if you were going to sell it on December 31st of the last year of your records. Harvest and growing crop plants. This includes plants or crops that are owned on December 31st. It could include such things as potted plants or trees that are being held for sale, or crops growing in the field or greenhouse, and harvested grain in storage. Feed, seed, fertilizer, chemicals, supplies, prepaid expenses, and other current assets go. This one is where a majority of your items are going to go. So these are consumable items such as livestock feed, veterinary supplies, crop supplies like fertilizer, potting soil, pesticides, gas, oil, spare parts, those kinds of things. And they're all things that you're going to use up within the next year. Merchandise, crops, and animals purchased for resale. This includes any items of inventory that are owned and have been purchased for the specific purpose of reselling them within 12 months, which are on hand as of December 31st. So this could be a steer that you purchased to show at the fair in the summer. Could be a Could be other animals that you've purchased to turn around and resell at the fair. Or it could be heifers that you've purchased and you plan on turning around and reselling. Raised market animals includes all the home raised animals that were born that year and on hand as of December 31st. So if you have cows and they had calves and they're still in your possession, and they haven't been transferred and you're not transferring them in yet to your non-current inventory, you should list them here. So heifer calves that you keep would go here. All right, so let's take a look at the application now. And this is the ending current inventory page. The inventories in section A, B, C, and D are your current assets only on this page, so things you're going to use up within the year. And this is only the candidates share in those items. So if you have a partnership and you only own 50%, then only put your 50% in here. Do not claim the full value if you share with someone else. All right, so a couple other reminders. List only the inventory on hand on this ending date. And this example is 12/31/2024. In your entries that you put in will be saved when you click the add button, or if you click edit and update, they will save. Do not use decimals, use only whole numbers. And then the total of all these values entered on this page will show up in your final year's end inventory on the income and expense summary. So that's why it's important to fill this out first. The first section is section A, harvested and growing crops or plants, and the ones that you still have in your possession on December 31st. In this example, I created harvested corn, which is being stored, and you could put stored. And the quantity is 1,000 bushels. You can write the measurement you're using in with the numbers. That will work. And then this question mark tells you how what to put in this section, but it also tells you how to apply a fair market value. And one of the examples they gave was using $3.80 per bushel based on an estimated cost to grow, harvest, and dry or store the grain. So if you know what your estimated value to grow the crop is, then you can use that. Another example, you could use $4.20 as a reliable cash market price. But those are things you can look up and you can determine. I'm going to use the $3.80. So the total value is $3,800 for the 1,000 acres or 1,000 bushels of harvested corn. The other things that you could put in here, if your plants could be leftover plants, if you have a greenhouse and you have some plants that you've held over, maybe you have some poinsettias that you grew and they're still in your greenhouse, you could put in poinsettias, how many you have. You could put the varieties and colors and their estimated value. The next section is where a majority of your current assets are going to go. And remember, anything you still have on December 31st in the feed, seed, fertilizer, chemicals, supplies, prepaid expenses, or other current assets. And so here's a bunch of examples. There's round bales of hay. They have 90 of those round bales, and this is their value. They also have large square bales of hay. They have 5 of those, and this is their value. They have steer feed left over. They put the pounds here instead of writing it in here. You could do it either way. Same with heifer feed, show supplies, and their adhesives, all of their show supplies, they kind of lumped together and gave a total value. You kind of have to estimate, you know what you paid for the supplies. Do you have a half a bottle left or a full bottle? Is it 3/4 full? You can kind of estimate what percentage you have and use that to figure out the price. Medications and dewormers. You should know how much you paid for those. Feed supplements. This person has beef semen in their tank. They have 70 units stored there still. They had cornstalk bales, shaving and bedding, 25 bags. So the list goes on. You can make this list as long as you want. So it all depends on what you have and only put the items that are actually related to your SAE projects. All right, then section C, this is where you put merchandise, crops, and animals that you've purchased for resale, the ones you still have in your possession on December 31st. In this case, we have steers. And so these were purchased and probably going to be shown the next year at the fair. So this is the value that they paid for those steers, because they purchased them with the intention to resell them. The same is true if you purchase a heifer. That you're going to keep for a while and then turn around and resell. It could be true for equipment that you purchase that you plan to maybe fix up and repair and then resell. There's lots of different examples of things. Again, the question marks at the top are very helpful to help you understand what you can put in these sections. Next, we have section D. This is raised market animals on December 31st. So this steer was actually born to this individual's project, and they're keeping it to show at the fair. So that animal will stay here until it is sold the following year. It's another good place to put horses. Horses are a little bit different from our other livestock animals because if you put them on your non-current inventory and purchase them, you have to depreciate them each year. If you put them in your current inventory and you put, let's say you bought a 5-year-old Arabian mare and you purchased it on October of 2019 and you paid $1,000 for it. You can put the mare, and you're planning on training this mare to and increase her value. So then the next year, you would put her in as a 6-year-old Arabian mare that you purchased same date. This would be the following year in 2025. And you have one of her, and then you could increase your value by the amount of expenses that you've spent on her, and also including the improvements you made with her training and showing a fair market value for that. So this is a good place to put your horses if you are appreciating their value each year by training them and investing your money in them. So once you have all of your inventory listed on your ending current inventory page, that total number is going to show up here and it's in blue. You will not be able to change this because it comes from the current inventory page. So your final year of your SAE project or your application on that December 31st of 2024, whatever assets you recorded on your ending current inventory. So all of these items were added up together to come up with that number on your income and expense summary. One last note I want to make about this page is putting in the date that you purchased things or purchased items really helps you fill in your income and expense summary, so you know which years you should see an increase in your current inventory, especially for the horse situation. If I bought a horse for $5,000, that should be reflected this year in this current inventory. And so that's something that can help you determine when you have these increases in your current inventory or decreases in them. But horses are the ones that are going to be the big factor in showing those increases, and then each year showing an increase. So in 2020, that horse is going to be worth 6,000. So we're going to see a bump up here. However, your current inventory is going to change each year. It doesn't necessarily have to continue to grow. It all depends on what you have left on the last day of the year each year. So just because we have these items left on the last day in 2024 doesn't mean we had these items left over in 2023 or 2022. So again, it's important to keep really good records so you know what items you had. And keeping track of your steers, that can be done on your um, entrepreneurship or your placement SAE size and scope. You can put in here where your steers are, and then that would also help explain on the income and expense summary which years you purchased those animals for resale. So they need to go down here in your expenses for your operation, and then you can help keep track of that year to year for your records. So I just wanted to make note of that so that you can, the more information you record here, the easier it is to go back to your income and expense summary to make sure you have things in the correct years in between your beginning and ending values.